Let's be honest, most guys think fighting with women is just part of the deal. You hear it everywhere. All couples argue. It's normal to have drama. Women just love to fight. But what if that's not actually true? What if you could go years, literally years, without a single real argument with a woman? Not because you're a pushover, not because you're walking on eggshells, but because you actually understand what's going on under the surface. I know, it sounds like a fantasy, but stick with me. I'm not here to sell you a dream. I'm here to show you something most men never figure out, and it's honestly a game changer. Here's the thing. Most guys think conflict with women is about the topic at hand. She's mad because you forgot to text her back. She's upset because you left your socks on the floor. She's annoyed because you made plans without checking in. But if you've ever been in one of those arguments that just spirals out of nowhere, you know it's never really about the socks or the text or whatever tiny thing set it off. It's about something deeper, and if you don't get that, you're going to keep having the same fights over and over, just with different women, or the same woman in different ways. So, let's start with a little honesty. Most men are completely lost when it comes to female psychology. We're taught to be logical, to solve problems, to get to the point. But women, they're not playing the same game. They're not even on the same field. And that's not a bad thing. It's just different. The problem is, nobody teaches us how to actually communicate with women in a way that works. We're told to be a man, hold frame, don't let her walk all over you. But nobody tells you how to actually get through to her without it turning into a battle. Here's what I've learned after years of trial and error, and honestly, a lot of mistakes. Women don't want to fight with you. They really don't. What they want is to feel connected, understood, and safe. When they don't get that, they start fights. Not because they love drama, but because it's the only way they know how to get your attention. It's like a kid acting out because they want their parents to notice them. It's not about the bad behavior. It's about the need underneath. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, here we go, another guy telling me to just listen more, let me be clear. This isn't about being a doormat. It's not about agreeing with everything she says or letting her walk all over you. In fact, the opposite is true. The men who never fight with women aren't the ones who say yes to everything. They're the ones who know how to set boundaries in a way that doesn't trigger her defenses. They know how to disagree without making her feel attacked. And most importantly, they know how to make her feel safe, even when they're calling her out. Let's break this down with a simple example. Imagine you're at dinner with your girlfriend. She makes a snarky comment about something you did last week. You might snap back, get defensive, maybe even raise your voice. Suddenly, you're both arguing about something that happened days ago, and the night is ruined. But what if you did something different? What if, instead of reacting, you just paused, looked at her, and said, "Hey, I get that you're upset about that. Can we talk about it after dinner? I want to enjoy this time with you." 9 times out of 10, she'll soften. The fight never happens. Why? Because you didn't feed the fire. You didn't give her a reason to escalate. You made her feel heard, and you set a boundary at the same time. This is what I call conflict judo. You don't meet force with force. You redirect it. You use her energy to create connection instead of conflict. And the best part? It actually works, not just with girlfriends, but with female friends, co-workers, even family members. Once you get this, you'll start to notice that most arguments are completely avoidable. They only happen because both people are stuck in their own patterns. reacting instead of responding. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Some women are just impossible to have a peaceful relationship with. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There are women out there who thrive on drama, who can't regulate their emotions, who will pick a fight no matter what you do. The trick is to spot these women early and avoid getting involved in the first place. If you're already in deep, it's a lot harder, but not impossible. The key is to stop trying to fix them. You can't. You can only control your own reactions. So, how do you spot a drama addict? It's actually pretty simple. She's the one who always has a story about how everyone else is toxic. She's rude to waiters. She complains about her friends, her family, her exes. She tests your boundaries just to see how you'll react. If you see these signs, don't ignore them. Don't think you can be the one to change her. You can't. Move on. There are plenty of women out there who actually want peace, who value stability, who don't need chaos to feel alive. But let's say you found a good one. She's not addicted to drama. She's not looking for a fight. Even then, you're still going to have disagreements. That's normal. The difference is, you don't have to let those disagreements turn into arguments. You can actually use them to get closer, to build trust, to show her that you're the kind of man who can handle her emotions without losing your cool. Here's where most guys mess up. They think the solution is to go completely flat. No emotion, no reaction, just stone-faced logic. But that doesn't work either. Women aren't looking for robots. They want to feel you. They want to know you care. If you go too cold, she'll start to panic. She'll think you're checking out, that you don't care anymore. And guess what? That triggers even more conflict. So, what's the answer? It's all about tone. You have to learn how to remove the negative emotions, anger, irritation, judgment from your voice, while keeping the warmth, the care, the connection. It's like being a coach. You're not yelling at your player for missing a shot. You're encouraging them, guiding them, helping them get better. Same thing with women. When you correct her, do it with warmth. When you set a boundary, do it with care. When you disagree, do it with respect. This isn't about being fake. It's about being intentional. You're choosing your tone, your words, your energy. You're not letting your emotions run the show. And when you do this, something amazing happens. She starts to trust you. She starts to relax. She stops seeing you as the enemy and starts seeing you as a partner. Let's dig a little deeper into this idea of tone, because honestly, it's where most guys get tripped up. You might think, okay, I'll just keep my voice calm and never raise it. But it's not just about volume. It's about the feeling behind your words. Women are like emotional detectives. They pick up on the tiniest shifts in your mood. Even if you think you're hiding it, you can say all the right things. But if your energy is off, she'll feel it. And if she feels tension, she'll mirror it back, often without even realizing it. Think about the last time you got into a pointless argument. Maybe you were tired, or stressed, or just not in the mood. She said something that rubbed you the wrong way, and before you knew it, you were both raising your voices over something that didn't even matter. That's not because she wanted to fight. It's because she felt your frustration, and her nervous system went into defense mode. It's almost automatic. The trick is to catch yourself before you go down that road. Here's a simple trick that works almost every time. When you feel yourself getting annoyed, pause, take a breath. Remind yourself that you're not here to win. You're here to connect. If you can do that, you'll be amazed at how quickly things de-escalate. Sometimes, just saying, hey, I'm feeling a little tense right now. Can we take a minute? Is enough to reset the whole vibe. She'll appreciate your honesty, and you'll both avoid saying things you regret. Now, let's talk about boundaries, because this is where a lot of guys get nervous. You might worry that if you're too soft, she'll walk all over you, or if you're too firm, she'll get upset. The truth is, women actually respect boundaries when they're set with care. If you set a boundary with anger or frustration, she'll push back. But if you set it with calm confidence, she'll usually respect it. It's all about the delivery. Let's say she's late for dinner. Again, old you might snap. You're always late. Why can't you just be on time? That's a fight waiting to happen. But what if you said, hey, I really value our time together, and it throws me off when we start late. Can we work on this? See the difference? You're not attacking her character. You're sharing how her actions affect you, and you're inviting her to be part of the solution. That's how you set a boundary without starting a war. Another thing most guys miss: women want to feel like you're on their team even when you disagree. If you make it you versus her, she'll dig in her heels. But if you make it both of you versus the problem, she'll usually meet you halfway. Try saying, it seems like we're not on the same page about this. How can we figure it out together? Suddenly, you're partners, not opponents. Let's get practical for a second. Here are a few phrases that almost always work to keep things calm and connected. Help me understand where you're coming from. I can see this matters to you. Tell me more. I want us to figure this out together. I care about you, and I want us to get through this. These aren't magic words, but they do something important. They show her that you're listening, that you care, and that you're not just trying to win. That's huge. Most women aren't used to that. They're used to guys getting defensive, shutting down, or trying to fix everything. When you show up differently, it throws her off in a good way. Now, let's talk about the flip side. What if she's the one who's upset, emotional, maybe even a little irrational? This is where most guys panic. You want to fix it, or you want to escape. But neither of those work. The best thing you can do is just be present. Don't try to solve it right away. Don't tell her she's overreacting. Just listen. Nod. Say, I get that you're upset. I'm here. Sometimes, that's all she needs. Once she feels heard, she'll calm down on her own. If you really want to level up, try validating her feelings before you talk about the issue. For example, I can see why that would bother you. I'd probably feel the same way if I were in your shoes. You're not saying she's right or wrong. You're just showing empathy. That's what she's looking for. Once she feels understood, she'll be way more open to hearing your side. Let's be honest though, sometimes, no matter what you do, she's still going to be upset. That's okay. You don't have to fix every feeling. You just have to show her that you're not going anywhere, that you can handle her emotions without getting rattled. That's what builds trust. That's what makes her feel safe. Here's a little secret. The men who never fight with women aren't the ones who avoid conflict. They're the ones who know how to handle it without losing their cool. They don't take things personally. They don't get defensive. They don't try to win. They just stay calm, stay connected, and keep the focus on the relationship, not the argument. Let's talk about what happens when you get this right. Suddenly, the little things that used to blow up into big fights just don't. She feels safe to bring things up because she knows you won't explode. You feel more relaxed because you're not always waiting for the next argument. The whole vibe of the relationship changes. You start to feel like a team, not two people fighting for control. And here's the best part. When you handle conflict this way, she actually becomes more attracted to you. Seriously, women are drawn to men who can handle their emotions, who don't get thrown off by a little drama, who can stay steady no matter what. It's rare, it's powerful, and it's something you can learn, even if you've never seen it modeled before. So, what's the takeaway here? It's not about avoiding conflict, it's about changing how you handle it. It's about learning to communicate in a way that makes her feel safe, even when you're setting boundaries or calling her out. It's about staying calm, staying warm, and staying connected, no matter what. If you can do that, you'll find that most fights just disappear. They never even start. And the ones that do, they turn into opportunities to get closer, to build trust, to show her that you're the kind of man she can count on. Let's get into some real world situations. Because theory is nice, but you need to know what this actually looks like in your day to day life. Picture this: you're out with your girlfriend, and she suddenly gets quiet. You ask if she's okay, and she says, "I'm fine." But you know she's not fine. Every guy has been there. The rookie mistake is to either ignore it and hope it goes away, or to push her to talk when she's not ready. Both of those usually backfire. Here's what works better: just acknowledge what you see, without pressure. You might say, "Hey, I can tell something's up. I'm here when you want to talk about it." Then drop it. Give her space, but let her know you're available. Most of the time, she'll come around when she's ready, and she'll appreciate that you noticed without making it a big deal. That's how you avoid turning a small mood into a full-blown argument. Another classic scenario: she brings up something from the past. Maybe it's an old disagreement, or something you thought was settled. Your first instinct might be to say, "Why are we talking about this again?" But that just makes her feel dismissed. Instead, try, "I thought we'd moved past that, but if it's still bothering you, let's talk about it." You're not agreeing to rehash every old fight, but you're showing her that her feelings matter. That's huge. Let's talk about apologies, because this is another area where a lot of guys get tripped up. You might think that saying sorry means admitting you were wrong, or that you're weak, but a real apology isn't about blame, it's about connection. If you messed up, own it. "I'm sorry I snapped at you earlier. I was stressed," but that's not an excuse. Simple, direct, no drama. If you didn't do anything wrong, but she's still upset, you can still acknowledge her feelings. "I'm sorry you felt hurt by what I said. That wasn't my intention." You're not taking the blame for something you didn't do, but you're showing empathy. That's what matters. Now let's flip it. What if she's the one who's out of line? Maybe she says something disrespectful or crosses a boundary. This is where a lot of guys either blow up or shut down. But there's a better way. Stay calm, keep your tone warm, and be direct. "Hey, I didn't like the way you spoke to me just now. I want us to treat each other with respect. No anger, no accusations, just a clear statement of what you expect." Most women will respect that, especially if you've built a foundation of trust and connection. Here's another tip: don't try to solve everything in the heat of the moment. If things are getting tense, it's okay to take a break. "I want to talk about this, but I need a few minutes to cool off." That's not running away. That's being smart. You're showing her that you care enough to come back to the conversation when you're both in a better place. And when you do come back, start with something positive. "I know we both want what's best for us. Let's figure this out together." That little bit of reassurance goes a long way. Let's talk about emotional safety, because this is really the heart of it all. When a woman feels safe with you, emotionally, not just physically, she's way less likely to start fights. She knows she can bring things up without you blowing up or shutting down. She trusts that you'll listen, even if you don't agree. That's what keeps the peace. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. showing up the same way over and over, even when things get tough. You might be thinking, okay, but what if she's just in a bad mood? What if nothing I do works? Sometimes that's going to happen. People have bad days. The key is not to take it personally. If she's snappy or distant, don't make it about you. Give her space, check in later, and let her know you're there. Most of the time, she'll come back around. And if she doesn't, if she's always negative, always picking fights, never willing to work things out, then you have to ask yourself if this is the right relationship for you. Peace is a two-way street. Let's get into some advanced moves. Once you've mastered the basics, staying calm, setting boundaries, validating feelings, you can actually use conflict to make your relationship stronger. Sounds crazy, but it's true. When you handle disagreements well, you build trust. She sees that you can handle her emotions, that you're not afraid of a little intensity, that you're steady no matter what. That's attractive. That's what makes her feel safe to be herself around you. Try this next time you hit a rough patch. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, focus on what you both want going forward. I know we had a rough night, but I want us to get better at this. What can we do differently next time? You're not blaming. You're not keeping score. You're looking for solutions. That's leadership. That's what turns conflict into connection. And don't forget to celebrate the wins. When you get through a tough conversation without fighting, acknowledge it. Hey, I appreciate how we handled that. I feel closer to you. It might feel a little cheesy at first, but it reinforces the kind of relationship you want to build. It shows her that you notice the effort, and it encourages her to keep showing up the same way. Let's be real. This isn't always easy. You're going to mess up sometimes. You're going to lose your cool, say the wrong thing, or miss a cue. That's normal. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Every time you handle a tough moment with calm and care, you're building a stronger foundation. And over time, those little moments add up. You start to trust yourself more. She starts to trust you more. The whole relationship feels lighter, easier, more fun. So, if you want to never fight with a woman, it's not about avoiding conflict. It's about changing how you show up when things get tough. It's about leading with warmth, setting clear boundaries, and always coming back to connection. When you do that, you'll find that most arguments just fade away, and the ones that do happen, they become opportunities to get closer, not reasons to pull apart. Let's bring this all together, because if you've made it this far, you're probably realizing something important. Never fighting with a woman isn't about being lucky or finding some magical unicorn who never gets upset. It's about how you show up every single day, in the little moments and the big ones. It's about understanding that most arguments aren't really about the thing you're arguing about. They're about how safe, seen, and respected she feels with you. So, what does this look like in real life? It means you're not afraid to speak up when something bothers you, but you do it in a way that invites connection instead of conflict. You don't bottle things up until you explode. You don't use sarcasm or silent treatment to punish her. You just say what you mean, calmly and directly, and you listen when she does the same. You treat disagreements as a normal part of two people figuring out life together, not as a threat to the relationship. Here's a mindset shift that changes everything. Stop seeing her emotions as problems to solve and start seeing them as information. If she's upset, it's not your job to fix her. It's your job to understand what's underneath. Maybe she's stressed about work. Maybe she feels disconnected from you. Maybe she just needs a hug and a little reassurance. When you stop taking her moods personally, you stop reacting defensively. You start responding with curiosity and care. And look, sometimes you're going to get it wrong. You'll say the wrong thing, or miss a signal, or get frustrated when you should have stayed calm. That's okay. The difference between couples who fight all the time and couples who don't isn't that one group is perfect. It's that when they mess up, they repair quickly, they apologize, they talk it out, and they move on. They don't hold grudges or keep score. They focus on the relationship, not on being right. If you want a practical takeaway, here it is. Next time you feel a fight brewing, ask yourself, what's really going on here? Is this about the dishes? Or is it about feeling unappreciated? Is this about being late? Or is it about feeling like you're not a priority? When you get curious about the real issue, you can address it directly, and the surface level arguments just melt away. Another thing that helps: don't be afraid to show vulnerability. If you're hurt, say so. If you're confused, ask questions. If you need something, speak up. Women respect men who are honest about their feelings, as long as you're not dumping all your emotions on her to fix. It's about sharing, not offloading. When you're real with her, she'll be real with you. That's how trust grows. And don't underestimate the power of humor. Sometimes, the best way to diffuse tension is to laugh at yourself or at the situation, not in a mocking way, but in a way that says, hey, we're both human. We're going to mess up sometimes, and that's okay. A little lightness goes a long way. It reminds both of you that you're on the same team, even when things get tough. Let's talk about the long game. The more you practice these skills, staying calm, setting boundaries, validating feelings, being curious, the easier it gets. At first, it might feel awkward or forced. You might have to remind yourself to pause before reacting or to check your tone when you're frustrated. But over time, it becomes second nature. You start to notice that your relationship feels more peaceful, more connected, more fun. You start to trust that you can handle whatever comes up without it turning into a fight. And here's the real payoff. When you create a relationship where arguments are rare, you both have more energy for the good stuff, more laughter, more intimacy, more adventures together. You stop wasting time and energy on pointless fights, and you start building something that actually lasts. That's what most people want, even if they don't know how to get there. So, if you take nothing else from this, remember this: you don't have to accept fighting as a normal part of relationships. You can choose a different way. You can be the man who brings calm to chaos, who leads with warmth, who sets boundaries with care, and who always comes back to connection. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present, being real, and being willing to grow. If you start practicing these things, even just a little bit, you'll notice a shift. Fights will get shorter or disappear altogether. She'll feel safer, and you'll feel more respected, and you'll both start to realize that peace isn't boring. It's actually the foundation for everything good in a relationship. So, next time you feel that old urge to argue, pause, take a breath, remember what you're really after. It's not about winning. It's about building something that feels good for both of you. That's how you never fight with a woman, not by avoiding conflict, but by transforming it into connection every single time.